I'd like to start out by thanking all of you for posting your questions and making this video possible. I always appreciate the questions and viewer participation. All right, let's get started. If Frankie Lastarino was taken off the shelf and wanted the role of acting boss, would he have gotten it easily, assuming DeSantis would have stepped down? Well, hypothetically, if Lastarino was reinstated and wanted the acting boss position, I don't believe he would ever make such a request. However, he would definitely be put in an administrative position if the scenario did play out. What was your opinion of Lucchese member Frank Pasqua? What could I say? I liked Frankie. He was a nice guy, one who belonged to the Bronx crew, and he would come by the cigar lounge all the time. When everything took place with his son, he had pulled me to the side and told me, and I felt bad for him because understandably, he was extremely concerned. Did you ever meet former Purple Gang member Ray Rosildo? I never met him and only know his name from the book Hitman. With the mass firings and resignations at the DOJ and the FBI, do you believe that this could lead to a rebirth of the mob in New York? As in any profession, firings and resignations only leave openings for other people to fill them. The mob will never operate on the scale it once did, but at the moment, it's not yet extinct. Do you think Christy Ticfroneri might have had a role with Vic Amuso and Anthony Casso in taking over the Lucchese family? It's quite possible, and I'm more than sure they had his support, as they were very close to him. At one time, he was the captain of the crew they both belonged to. You mentioned Vic and Gass's violent reign after Tony Ducks went to prison. In your opinion, were there any other suitable successors that Tony Ducks could have picked instead of Vic? I've mentioned this before. There were many guys back then who were qualified for the boss position. But keep in mind, Tony Ducks did pick his successor, and that was Anthony Luongo, although things didn't go according to plan. If the leader of a family and a couple of captains all over the age of 60 take a trip to the Bahamas or any other resort, would they bring some tough guys as bodyguards in case they were harassed by a couple of drunks, wannabe tough guys on steroids? That would depend on who it is. But for the most part, guys, whether over 60 or not, can handle themselves. Do you think being caught on the Jaguar tapes affected Sal Avellino's chances of being on the administration? Actually, no, because Sally Avellino did sit on a Lucchese ruling panel years later. The Jaguar tapes is what's called becoming too complacent. It was an error in judgment by everyone who spoke in the car. They underestimated their enemy. Did you ever hear of any members who work with Native American reservations to move contraband? I personally have not, but it's my understanding Native Americans typically deal amongst each other and everyone else is an outsider. Who do you think knows more history about the world of Cosa Nostra? The guys who gravitate to the life, or the historians who spend hours upon hours learning and doing research? When you speak of mob history, most guys in the mob, or former members, are not too familiar with the history. Historians learn about it and become well versed. However, no historian actually lived in that world, and that's how I see it. Who would know better than actual members? When Big John mentioned that Frank Camuso and Robert Epifania were his cousins, did he mean they were actually related or otherwise just close? John introduced me to both and told me they were his cousins, and I took it to mean his actual cousins, family. How should a member conduct themselves when approached for questioning by law enforcement, and should they ask for a business card and report it to their captain? Is it ever acceptable for a member to call the police or file a police report? Okay, this answer naturally depends on the person. A member, if approached by law enforcement, should be respectful but remain silent. He should never ask for a business card, and if one is offered, he can take it and should always let his captain know about this encounter. I think most people know it's in no way acceptable for a member or even an associate to call the police or file a police report. That goes without saying. I believe we've had this next question in the past. As a member, are you allowed to take vacations? Do you have to put in for it like a regular 9-to-5 job? A member can take vacations and let his captain know that he's going away. What's the likelihood of a member being introduced to every member in the family? It's not far-fetched to say that most members do not meet every family member, possibly over the course of time, but there's always someone you haven't met. What happens when a member goes on a lam? How do they contact people Do they stay in their room 24/7? Being on the lam, evading law enforcement, is much harder today than years ago, and contacting people depends on the person. It wouldn't be wise to use cell phones, and staying out of view is in a person's best interest. In your opinion, if there are few reliable and smart candidates to propose, is it possible the Sicilian Mafia could make a potential play to come to the United States and join families here to help grow the Mafia here? I don't believe this will ever be the case. Yes, there are guys from Italy and Sicily who have come here and were eventually inducted into families, but not for the above scenario. If a member was attacked by a civilian and acted in self-defense, but was arrested, would he be allowed to talk to the cops, or would that be against the rules? This answer is the same as the one I just previously gave. Talking to law enforcement is out of the question. If a skipper gets jammed up and there's no acting captain, such as Big John, does another captain get assigned to serve as the crew, or would the administration split up the crew temporarily until a new captain or acting captain is assigned? In this scenario, the administration would pick someone in the crew to be an acting captain. If they have no faith in any crew member, they can assign someone to oversee the crew or place a new captain there. If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now to hit the like button, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Also, for anyone who'd like to show appreciation for videos like this, or help me to continue making them, you can do that by donating with the Super Thanks icon down below, or the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me quickly remind everyone of my blog, especially those of you who still enjoy reading. It can be found at sitdownnews.com and is subscription only. And for the last question, in a video, you talked about a time when you were young and standing behind Johnny Santore as he made Pete Gotti look like a fool at a bar. If a few days later, Pete Gotti roughed you up for just being there, could you tell anyone he did this to you, or would you have to keep quiet about it? Well, to start with, there would be no reason for Pete to take anything out on me, and he ultimately never did. That night, it was Pete who made himself look bad. Johnny Santore only quickly put him in his place. As for me, I was just an innocent bystander.